Final Fantasy VI has a very large cast of characters, and throughout the game, each of them has their own moments to make them memorable. But the one I want to talk about today is Locke. He's actually the second playable character introduced in the game, and he is your thief character. Though he constantly corrects people and tells them that he is not a thief, he is in fact a treasure hunter. And I will give him this, that is some smart branding. For the most part, he seems like a likable enough character. Has a little flirtation with one of the other characters. Seems protective of his teammates. But then we find out a little bit about his backstory. And of course, there's a tragic element to it. He had a woman, and her family disapproved of him. But she loved him, and came treasure hunting with him. And he must have gotten a little careless, because she had to protect him from a danger on one of these treasure hunts. And unfortunately, she paid the price. And shocker of shockers, her family blames him for this. And as tragic as all of that is, what really bothers me about the situation is his reaction to this happening. He didn't reform his ways. He didn't reflect on himself and think that maybe, had he not been so greedy, she'd still be alive. No. Instead, he decides the best course of action in the situation is to take his now deceased girlfriend to get taxidermied so that if he were to find a possibly mythical treasure, he can resurrect her. And he leaves her with an older gentleman that is clearly a little bit off. And it wasn't till my most recent playthrough of this game that I realized how monumentally creepy this all is. And even more strange is the fact that none of the other characters in this game are at all put off by any of this. You would think that of the other 14 playable characters, at least one of them would maybe say, "Hey, Locke, buddy, are you sure this was the healthiest possible way to deal with the tragedy that happened?" And later in the game, you can actually find what he's been searching for to resurrect this poor woman. And thankfully, she's not around long enough to really digest the strangeness of this situation. So for her bit, it's mostly just I love you, but you seriously need to move on from what happened. Personally, I think she should have woken up and been like, why would you think anything of what you've done since my death was okay? But that doesn't happen, and in the end, he ultimately feels better for the entire situation. And that is the story of Locke in Final Fantasy VI. Please do subscribe, comment, like, and tell your friends.